Well, good afternoon, friends. Thank you for joining us today at Storytime. And we are taking a little twist today. Normally on Storytime, we talk about the stories that bring us exactly where we're at in life and business and in relation to one another. But today we're going to prepare you for some of those life and business and relation with one another. And my special guest today, Just Dagan or Dagan MV, is going to talk to us about his ability to help you in all three of those areas: life, business, and relation to one another. So, we are so excited about this talk because best selling author, two different books. He is a professional in all things insurance and really wants to help you be a professional in showing up in business and in life. So, please welcome with me to the stage my new friend, Dagan, and let's get to work. Hello, Dagan.
Hello. Glad
Excited
to
to
be
have you.
here. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's so fun. We talk about business, relation, and life. And Dagan and I were chatting about the fact that and in fact, in your book that we'll get to here in a moment, you talk about you're like the Kevin Bacon approach, except you're just 2 degrees away from everybody, right?
Yes. Yes. For the this area of
Yeah.
town,
How
not
fun.
nationwide. I
No.
wish I could make that claim.
Well, you know what? You're doing the right
I'm
things.
trying.
You're doing the right things. And before too long, you probably will be 2 degrees away from everybody and they will know you and know your name. But today we're going to learn a little bit about you. We're going to learn about what did it take to become 2 degrees away and what does it take to show up as your best self. So before we get into that, please introduce yourself to our friends today.
Yes. I'm born and raised in Austin, Texas. And while I've traveled the world, I never really moved away. So I get to cheat a little bit in that I've been in an area where I can always meet people, and those we're all still here.
Yeah.
So I run into people from high school, college, all my different years of my life. But I worked in the alcohol industry for a long time, which is where I got a lot of my experience.
Mm.
And working even before that, the jobs I took were always jobs where there were like 20, 30, 40 coworkers, and then a lot of people coming into the business. So if you can remember Blockbuster back in the day, I had a friend that worked at Blockbuster. He basically worked with like three other people,
Mm.
and anyone that came in the store came in, did their transaction, and left.
Sure.
I was doing things like waiting tables, so I was dealing with people all the time,
Yeah.
and I had 30 or 40 coworkers. And then when I got in the alcohol business, I was meeting people 5 nights a week in all my activities, and then dabbled a little in the tech sector in the downtown area, and then started my own business.
Mm.
And I kind of always wanted to do that because my dad was a doctor. He had his own dental practice and wanted to kind of do some of the same things.
Wow. Wow. I think about some of those careers, and one of the things that I love chatting with people about is what are the pieces that led to where we're at today. And so many times, we look at seasons in life or things that we had, and we're like, I just don't want to remember that season, or I just want to get past that season. But the reverse is true: is every season that we go through, we're equipping, we're gathering new skills, we are becoming the human, the person that we bring to every situation, every equation, every encounter. And I think it's so cool to hear about that. So you talked about waiting tables, you talked about the alcohol business and how it equipped you. So let's break that down a little bit.
Yeah.
What pieces of that? What was it? What was the human element?
Right. So one of the things about working in the alcohol scene is I was basically the market manager for Central Texas. So I visited all the bars, the clubs, restaurants, golf courses, hotels, the festival organizers for the different events that come to Austin. And you, there's so many of them that are all different. Like
Yeah.
I might be dealing with a country bar one night and a biker bar the next,
Oh,
a gentleman's bar the day after,
yeah.
and a gay bar the next day. And, a lot of those people don't like each other
Sure.
or they have different themes. They have all different aspects of their livelihood,
Yeah.
but they all liked drinking alcohol in those situations that I was coming across.
Mm.
And of course, it was to promote my products. and how it best worked for us.
Right.
And so I, I started learning about it's always the how to put yourself in the other person's shoes,
Sure.
basically,
Yeah.
because so many of them think differently than the people you were with the day before.
Yeah.
And so I think that helped teach me a lot about all the different mindsets that
Yeah.
people have. And of course, I experienced that waiting tables. I didn't approach tables the exact same way every time someone sat at my table. As soon as people sat at my table, I looked at what I thought was their table dynamic, let's say,
Mhm.
and worked that
You met them
that
where they were at.
yeah.
Yeah.
But basically becoming a chameleon and
Mm.
working with what made them comfortable, not what makes me comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's where you're seeing a lot post COVID with everyone these days getting what they call bad service is because they're the person behind the counter is doing the same old with every single person and is
Mhm.
just going through the motions.
Mhm.
So people don't feel special.
Mm. Yeah. One of the pieces and the career journeys that I was on for a long time and still hang out in that space a little bit is Mary Kay. And Mary Kay would always say, pretend like everybody that you meet has a sign around their neck that says, make me feel important.
Yeah.
And that's really, I think, as humans, one of our basic desires is to be significant, to know that we matter, to know that we have value. And by you being willing, I don't even want to say to compromise yourself, but to lower self to lift others around you, that has made you likable, lovable, and trustable.
Yeah. And I think it helps. I mean, one thing my parents did, which I think worked out very well, was they put me in Boy Scouts
Mm.
when I was a kid, and then later when I turned 16, I didn't really want to finish. I had a girlfriend, I had my own car, I had a job.
Priority shifted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't care about Scouts anymore, but my parents gave me an ultimatum that I had to finish, so I finished and became an Eagle Scout, and I think that helped out a lot because it's a lot about um, you're trying your best for someone else
Yeah.
because you want that in return, which of course, Scouts has a lot of church references in it. And so that's what I really liked about it.
Mm. Well, foundations are important, right? Whatever our foundation is built upon is what we're going to always point back to when things get hard or when it hits the fan,
Yeah.
like you say on one of your taglines. No matter what business we're in, I feel like we're always in the people business. It's always about people. And so, to your point, helping them feel like they are the most important one and that you're going to honor and serve them no matter what hat you're wearing is so big. But I really would love to say, okay, so that's kind of the foundation. That's
Yeah.
where Dagan came from,
Hmm.
right? And all those pieces. But let's talk about how those particular skills that you developed have led you to help others become their best self when the way that they show up. I feel like we are in this place. You mentioned post COVID that things have shifted, right? People's personalities have shifted, the way that we present ourselves seriously the way that we present ourselves have shifted, right? And not necessarily for the better in most cases. But one thing that is sure is that we're all coming back out of this thing, and it's going to take the community coming together, business owners coming together, individuals uniting in order to get back in line and back to the place where we have this thriving community, this thriving society for our next generation, right?
Yeah.
So, with the skills that you've developed and the work that you do today, both in the insurance arena and in the showing up networking arena, talk to us a little bit about what that looks like.
Yeah. So generally one of the biggest things I've noticed is plant seeds and focus on just talking to people, not
Mm.
selling. The
Mhm.
biggest thing is we're all taught how to sell throughout all of our jobs in our lifetime. And then we have all this mindset on, oh, wait, I don't want to sell to my friends and family,
Mhm.
but I want to sell to random strangers that don't know me. But
Mhm.
then when you sell to those strangers, they many times become friends. So will you go still sell to your friend, these new friends, but you're not going to go sell to your friends and your family.
Sure.
So you're like now I'm starting to lose track of who are you allowed to sell to.
You've got to have this category. Okay,
Yeah.
you were not a friend before, but now you are. So you now don't qualify for my best. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't know how to sell and how to promote. So
Yeah.
it's a lot about practicing what you're going to do before you're visiting with people. So like one example is when someone comes to me and says, "Hey, Dagan, I need some life insurance
Mm.
or health insurance." It could be any of the insurance I sell, but let's just say life insurance. The first thing I'll say is, "Okay, cool. What makes you think you need life insurance?" That is technically a block.
Sure.
That is saying, "Are you sure you really need life insurance?" For a lot of people, that think in the sales mindset would be like, "Oh, great, you need life insurance. All right, when can you sit down? Can you sit down now? I
Yeah.
got time now. I
They're
can
hungry.
fit
Yeah.
you in. Yes, let's make this happen. Let's sign paperwork."
Yeah.
No, I'm like, "What makes you think you need it right now?
Right.
Like, why today? What's going on?" I want to hear the story first. I want to hear what's going on. There's a chance you might not need life insurance. Just someone the other day had asked me or told me he needed life insurance. And after talking to him for a little bit and looking at some things, I said, "No, you're good. You don't need it." He already had an existing policy that he thought was expiring.
Okay.
And had I just gone straight into selling,
Yeah.
I would have spent all this time and energy. And then somewhere in the very end, I'd have been like, "Wait, what? You already have? Do you have a copy of that? Send me that policy." And then before I turned in my paperwork, I would have seen that his isn't expiring,
Sure.
all because I tried to hurry up and get to the sale.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I notice a lot is people not practicing before uh, they're going to start talking about themselves. Like
Sure.
if you're running your own business, just as you're driving somewhere, practice. What are you going to say?
Mm.
Like anytime someone says, "Hey, what brings you here? What do you do? What's going on? What do you do for a living?" And there's like 20 varieties of the same question that all comes back to what's your occupation,
Right.
and practice that. And the funny thing is, so many of us are scared or intimidated on networking or visiting with people or standing up in front of people. It's all chaos. But the only reason it's chaos
'Cause they weren't ready.
because you weren't ready.
Yeah.
If you get ready, then it won't feel like chaos. And so people are like, "Well, yeah, but I'm not. I'm an introvert, Dagan. I'm like you. You seem like an extrovert." I was like, "It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Introverts love planning in general. It's the extroverts that just kind of wing it.
Right.
So plan what you're going to do, and then it doesn't feel like chaos, and then you can go in there."
Yeah.
So like anytime someone asks me, "What brings you here? What do you do?" I always say, "Well, I help small businesses and families from going bankrupt due to medical catastrophes." It doesn't matter who you're introducing me to. I'm going to say that same phrase 100 times.
Right.
And I'm not nervous because I've already practiced it 100 times.
Right.
And then when they say, "Well, how do you do that?" "Oh, well, if something happens to them, I'm going to flush them with a bunch of cash so they can pay all their bills and keep afloat. And their business doesn't go under, their personal life doesn't go under, and they can just keep on trucking." And then usually by then people are like, "So is it like insurance?" And I go, "Yeah, it's under the umbrella of insurance." And I do a wide variety of stuff. And then I go into it. But I already know what I'm going to say,
Sure.
3 or 4 things deep.
Yeah.
And if you introduce me to, I always like to say, if you introduce me to Jennifer Lopez or the Pope, I'm going to say the same thing. Or to your grandma, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's the same thing I've practiced 100 times. And it doesn't take much. And if you practice those things, you're going to be much better at communicating. It's interesting how people will have worked for 2 years at least on their occupation, and you ask them what they do, and they're like, "Well, it's so I do a couple of things. I at first I do so. Well, wait, let me back up. So I'm like, whoa, is this your first day on the job?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how am I going to introduce you to some of my clients, especially my 6-figure clients, when you're already confusing me on what you do? I asked you a simple question. You should give me a simple answer. If you have all these filler words and all this other stuff, it's you. I always love to say people practice on how to sit down with someone and say, like, if right now we're going to talk about insurance, and we sit down. I know every question I'm going to ask you in the sales process.
Sure.
Like, okay, so who needs coverage? How old is everyone? What county do y'all live in? And then so forth and so forth. Ask about income, ask about medical conditions. And I know every single question and to make it all the way to the final. And if you don't, there's 100 sales Bibles out there
Yeah.
that can tell you how to do the whole sales cycle. The problem is, how do I get to sit down with you first?
Yeah.
And that's where everyone messes up.
And especially if, we talked about this before we actually got on the mic, which was, you say the word that you do, and everybody has their own belief or feeling or whatever associated with that word. And they just like, okay, well, I don't need this. Right. And so you talked about, I help people or I flood people with, money so that they don't drown in their medical expenses or whatever. Right. Oh, so that's like insurance. Yes. But if you would have said, I sell insurance to people, they're like, I don't want that. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
You'd be like, oh, I don't want to talk to you.
yeah. And it reminds me so much of the TED talk that Simon Sinek did, which is start with why. Why do I do what I do? Well, it's important to me that families are protected, that people don't go through bankruptcy because of a medical situation that was beyond their control, right? Essentially. And so it's important to me, right? As opposed to,
it's a fabulous book.
yeah, I love everything that he produces. He's just a great human. But I love that concept. And when it comes to showing up and really being genuine, people need to have a chance to see your genuineness. They need to see your authenticity before they hear those trigger points that make them shut down. Right. And so when we think about networking, and I love what you're sharing about people come to these events. I remember my very first BNI meeting. And that was my first experience with networking ever. And
Wow.
I became a bank teller when I was like 19 years old. And I really wanted to be a banker. And so as soon as I became a banker, the other banker who had been in that role for a few years said, Teresa, you need to go to this meeting. And I'm like, okay, I'll just go. And she did not prepare me.
Yeah.
She did not prepare me. She did not prepare me for the fact that the first thing they were going to do was stick a microphone in my face.
Yeah.
2 weeks on the job, essentially, in that capacity. And
she wasn't putting herself in your shoes. It's exactly, yeah. She was messing up the sale for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't think she did it maliciously.
Right.
Maybe,
of course not.
and here's the deal too. I think a lot of times you're in the coaching space and so
Yeah.
you get this, but a lot of times certain things become old hat to us, right? And maybe that's what her situation was. Maybe it was like old hat, like this is familiar. I forgot, or I made myself forget how hard it was the very first time that mic was in my face. So I'm just not going to think about it. Right. I feel like God gives us two really good gifts. One is wisdom that comes from experience. The other is memory. And a lot of times we forget the memory. We're like, I don't want to remember that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I get there and I remember like I had practiced for 6 months to learn how to apply for that job. Like I was so on fire for that role. I really wanted to get out of the teller line and into the banker seat. I was like 19 years old. That's what I wanted. So did I know everything about that role? Probably more than that banker did because I was on it. But as soon as that mic was in my face, I forgot my name.
Wow. Yeah.
And I feel like that's what so many people go through. And now they're being asked to get back into these organizations. They're being told, go to this networking group. That's where you're going to meet your next potential client, and they haven't had to ride that bicycle in several years. And so now they're being asked to not only tell, but show and tell. Not only, do your job, but now show everybody what you're doing through the networking space. So for somebody that's like getting back on that bicycle, or maybe like me at 19 years old, they're like, okay, the mic is in your face. What do I do? Your book is full of opportunities and wisdom around. Oh, and please show your book. I want people to see your chess pieces on there. It's so fun, right? Play the room. And as I really dug into that and I started reading it before our talk today, you have so many like what we call pearls of wisdom, golden nuggets in that book that relate to how to show up. So for somebody that's just brand new to the networking space, and they know that they need to be in front of people. They know they've got to get behind this veil of protection behind the Zoom screen, right? How would you recommend they get their feet wet?
Yeah. So, man, so on getting somewhere or what to say?
Well, first, just getting there
Getting
because
there.
you got to get in the room to
Yeah.
play the room,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, first of all, go on Facebook events, meetups, Eventbrites, and look at everything going on.
Yeah.
And just go to all of it. I hear people like, well, that time of day there's bad traffic, or oh, the forecast shows it's raining that day.
Right.
I always say, do you like money? And like, yeah. I go, okay. So all those excuses, don't care.
Yeah.
Like, just go.
Yeah.
Just go and go 100%. Show up to that event, and when you're at that event, ask some of the other people, especially those that seem like they're veterans. You'll usually be able to tell the ones that have been in the circle a while. Ask them where else they go,
Yeah.
and they'll tell you the other places. And go around and just feel everything out. And sometimes when you're new, then you'll visiting certain organizations will feel better for you than others.
Sure.
And so feel them out. Go visit several, but just go to everything. And then if there's something you like, look that up. So I know someone that used to ride a bike a lot, and part of her exercise was running when she was at the gym for the biking. And I would tell her, I'm like, well, so go to like Meetup and look at all the groups where they're walking. Maybe they're walking their dog. Maybe they're going on walks. Maybe it's a running group, a bike group, a triathlon group.
Sure.
And go to some of those. Just get practice talking to people and telling those people what you do,
Right.
because you guys share a commonality, and it might be walking your dogs or riding bikes. So visit with those groups too. And sometimes they go right around for a while, and they stop at some place where they all like have a bite to eat or a beer or something. It seems like there's always some kind of fun thing at the end.
Yeah.
And that's part of how that event is trying to stand out and market
Right.
themselves. And you can learn a lot about just talking to people that have those commonalities, and then visit people that are in your sector. So if you're in real estate, go to some real estate events, and then start going and branching out and visiting other types. The problem is most people don't even know where to go.
Right.
And it helps if you figure out who that person is. So in my line of work for insurance, I've learned that the best person that sends me business is a property casualty insurance rep. So think Farmers, State Farm, Allstate, Goosehead, Liberty Mutual, all those commercials you see. A lot of clients will call their insurance broker that takes care of their car and home and says, "Hey, I know you don't do this, but I need health insurance or one of these other insurances. Do you have anyone you recommend?"
Right.
They're like, "Yes, I know a guy." And so they bring him to me. So property casualty insurance agents are fantastic for me. So that's going to kind of set the tone about the type of events I go to or lean toward. But the people that come to me the most directly for insurance are people in real estate and home service contractors. So I'm looking at for those types of events. I'm looking at what events are with home service contractors,
Sure.
or maybe the local association with all the realtors. I just always make a joke that realtors are not where you should necessarily target, because everybody wants to talk to a realtor. A realtor selling a home,
Right.
and
It's like they have the golden key. Literally,
Yeah.
they have the golden key. Yeah.
yeah, it's everyone wants to talk to realtors, but because I have brought in a lot of real estate clients, I go to the other events, and then I find my clients or potential clients and tell them to introduce me to others. And so again, working or playing the room.
Right.
So to have a process, but most people, when they start networking, you should just go out and get stuff done. Like go out and visit. Just sitting at home or trying to figure out what you're going to do is not going to do anything.
Right.
So go out, talk. There's nothing better than getting out and visiting with people personally, but also figuring out who is the key person that will refer you business and the key person that will actually buy from you. Because if you just start going out, you don't know who that is.
Right.
Now, if you don't know who that is in your job, well, then you got to go figure that out.
Right. And there's a lot of things that people can do to help them determine, who their market is, their ideal client, and all of that. But I think you're right. There is so much power in just getting into the space of other people, because it's so easy, right? It's very easy for us to sit in the home office or to get busy with busy work. But busy work, let's be honest, doesn't change lives, right? And if that is one of the things that you're trying to do in business, is to go out there and give that next best service, be the hero in somebody's story for a minute, be the hero in your family's story if it's that you're the provider, right?
Mhm.
Sitting at home behind the thing with busy work doesn't make those needles move. Now, it may keep things afloat for a little bit, but we've got to be in the space. The other thing that doesn't happen when we're holding back is I can't experience your brilliance if I'm not around you, right?
Yep.
I can't experience your amazing energy. I can't experience the ideas that you have if I don't allow myself to be in the same room or in the same space with you. So, a lot of times, I would even say for networking, maybe it's not about necessarily a sale, but it's about connecting with the right people. With one of our organizations, Unbreakable Business, it was actually created from a season in our business, my husband and I's chimney business, where we realized that we were drowning in business right in the middle of the pandemic. Probably most small businesses were really struggling during that time for many, many reasons. One of them had to do with the just total uncertainty. But the other is because cash wasn't moving. People weren't taking care
Mm.
of basic services, things of those nature, right? And then, of course, we had the whole situation of whether or not we put people in people's houses. Like that was a whole serious issue. And I remember I told my husband, go get me a whiteboard. And so he got me this whiteboard.
Mhm.
And on the whiteboard, I drew a circle of well, a royal, my husband. I put, you're right here in the middle. And then I started drawing all of these little spokes off of the circle and said, okay, like I need, in order for the business to operate fully, in order for us to show up our best, we need a marketing team. We need a coaching
Mm.
team. We need a financial team. And then we look at each other and we're like, yeah, but we don't have these people. Yeah, but with the right network, you can have those people, right? And so sometimes networking isn't just about sales and the transaction. In fact, most times it's not, because the likelihood of me walking in a room today and in April in Central Texas and saying, I own a chimney company, right? The likelihood of the people in that room saying, I need my chimney swept is pretty small.
Yep.
However, the likelihood of me finding the next CPA that can help me expand my thinking, or the next marketing person like yourself, potentially, that could give me a new strategy, or the next person that can help us with, whatever HR concerns, is very solid if I'm in the room. But if I'm just sitting back, holding back, and taking care of busy work, I'm going to continue my stressing and I'm going to continue to try to figure it all out on my own. Right. So, networking is also so much about the power of community.
Yeah. And that's huge. And the funny thing is, one of the things I tell people when they're starting out, and by the way, I've met people who've been networking for years and they're all still making tons of mistakes.
Sure.
And of course, everyone is at the level they're at. So it's not what's good or bad. It's it's just how do you take it up a level?
Yeah.
And I've met people that have been, I know one gentleman who's networked for many years, and he says, BNI, since you brought that up, said, BNI is the only group that's done well for me.
Huh.
And I said, huh. And everyone started keep telling him, oh, so y'all know each other? I was like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I figured because he's a great networker. I was like, yeah, he's okay. And he does all right.
Yeah.
They're like, well, what do you mean? He's like one of the best I know. I was like, he only does well in one group. How is that a great networker?
Mm.
A great networker can go around to all the groups
And be a chameleon.
and be a chameleon and get business from all the groups.
Yeah.
Because the thing was, his personality type really worked with BNI.
Sure.
And so that's why it did so much business for him.
Yeah.
But if I was to tweak some things for him, he would be great in all the other groups.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
because the other groups seemed more chaotic, he didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's totally fine. And one of the things I tell everyone when they're first going out and trying to talk to people is be specific, but be vague,
Mm,
which if you think about that, that makes no sense. Be
sure.
specific, but be vague. So to take your friend, for example, who invited you to that networking meeting, she just said, "Hey, just kind of show up and come to this." You know
Yeah.
why? Because she knew if she was too specific with
I
you,
would have been like, "What? Nope."
you would have said no. Exactly. You would have bailed out of that and said, "No, I'm not going. That sounds stressful. That sounds da da da."
Or the whole, self-sabotage and
Right.
imposter syndrome.
Of course.
Yeah.
And that's what would have happened.
Yeah.
However, should have been a little more specific and say,
Sure.
"Hey, you know what? I'd really like to introduce you to some people. There's like 15, 20 people that are getting together and they're going to be all talking about our businesses. And I think there's several referral partners for you in there. Come meet me at this, come visit." Uh, and then as soon as you start asking questions, I'm like, don't worry about it. You're going to self-sabotage. I'll call you out. I'll say, "No, don't worry about it. You're going to self-sabotage. Just show up. Do you like money? Okay. Show up to this
Yeah.
and people are going to ask you what you do. So can you do me a favor? The only thing I ask you is have what you're going to say in 15, 20 seconds
Yeah.
when someone asks you what you do. Like be spot on with it. That's it. And show up. We're going to have fun. Don't
Yeah.
worry."
Yeah.
So now, of course, I didn't get into the specifics, but I was more specific
Sure.
than that. And that's the key thing. That's why when I'm talking to people and I say, "This is what I do," uh, I flush people with a bunch of cash so that they don't go bankrupt.
Yeah.
I'm hitting trigger words. No one wants medical catastrophes, but they know they can happen. No one wants bankruptcies, but they know they can happen. So I'm whether it's a positive or a negative trigger word, I'm giving them a trigger word and grabbing their attention. So I'm being specific on what I'm doing, but I'm being vague because I'm not saying I sell insurance.
Right.
So if you just do this healthy mixture of vague but specific all day long, you will you will be fine. And for someone who's new, that might throw them off. It's just like, no.
Yeah.
If someone says, "Oh, you're with Mary Kay," I had some of their products in the back, but I lost my salesperson.
Mm.
I haven't gotten from them in years. You're going to jump really quick and go into sales mode. Not
Sure.
you personally, but just an individual would think to go into sales mode and start going, "Oh yeah, and we've got this product and we've got
Right.
this."
Yeah.
And now you're being very specific and you're bombarding her with what I call verbal diarrhea.
Right.
And
Right.
and the person's getting scared.
Right.
And so instead, be like, "Oh yeah, well, hey, if you want someone to talk to, we should talk." Because when did your person leave? "Oh, it's been 5 years." "Oh, well, there's over 100 new products that have been upgraded or changed or added to the portfolio."
Right.
So yeah, it's a whole new world compared to what it was 5 years ago.
Right.
And then
And then you're
go on.
creating curiosity as
Exactly.
opposed to,
Engagement.
"Oh my gosh." Yeah.
Real estate people are notorious for this. They
Yeah.
post on their Facebook page, "Hey, this house just went on the market. It's this price. This is my contact. It's this many square footage. It's in this zip code. It's this school district. It has this many rooms." And they give me all the details and it says, "Hit me up if you're interested."
Yeah.
Well, one, uh, you gave me every single detail, which are all possible blocks.
Sure.
I might say, "Oh, that's great, but that price is too high. Oh, that's great, but that's too many square feet. Oh, that's too many rooms."
Right.
So then I'm not going to like your comment, or I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah. So too much information will disqualify you.
Of course,
Yeah.
you want to create vagueness so that it has people asking you questions.
Yeah.
It's like show a picture of the house and you're like, "Oh, this is a beautiful house. I love how the island is 8 feet long, perfect for cooking," and so much more stuff. If you know anyone looking for a house, let me know.
Yeah.
And then when they reach out and say, "Yeah, what's the details? How many square feet is it?"
Sure.
And then I say, "Oh, well, it's 2,000 square feet. Yeah, I needed something more like 16. Oh, well, funny enough, I have a house in the 16 square foot that's also going for." Now you're creating engagement.
Right.
While if you just throw everything out there, you just basically, one, you created an ad, but two, everyone says my sales are great, or they're not great, or they're fantastic. But none of us know how much sales we're losing
Sure.
from something we've posted or said. And we can't measure that. All we can do is measure you are losing sales because you are doing the things
And you're not getting them.
that push people away.
Oh, yeah.
And while it does add people, how many people are you losing because you just gave them all the information and they had no reason to engage with you?
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a minute because I noticed that in your book, you talk about some of the things that you've learned from a psychological place, right?
Yeah.
And we talk about human behavior. And that's something that I geek out on a lot. I love human behavior. How much of that do you think is, I don't want to sound repetitive, and this is what I'm thinking that somebody might be saying, or I just need to get all the information out there so I'm not filtering questions all day. And then you're like, okay, but if we had a small mind shift
Yep.
and I created curiosity so that people are actually engaging with me, then I'm not, exhausting my efforts. I'm amplifying my opportunities.
Right. And the key thing is I approach everyone as I'm not going to sell to them. I want them to be my salesperson.
Mm,
I want them to talk to me about others. So like it'd be great to have you as let's say a client of mine.
right.
But what would be better, well, one, because not only are you a client of mine, but hopefully you talk about me to other people. And then if I'm allowed to in my occupation to say that you're a client of mine, I can talk about you to other people. The thing is though, I want to meet all of your clients.
Right.
And if you're introducing me to 3, 4, 5 clients a year or more, that can change my tax bracket.
Right.
That can help my kids get braces. One small client, even if you're selling huge things like roofs, one client is just one client.
Right.
I want all the people in your circle. So if
Mhm.
I focus on all the people in your circle and not on you, you will tell me if you want to be a client.
Mhm.
I don't need to push on you. I want to push on all the people around you.
Mhm.
I want that ongoing business. So if you push hard on an individual or coming at them like you're selling them, then you're going to lose all those potential people down the road.
Right.
If you become a client or not become a client, but you're introducing me to people, I still win.
Right.
And
Right.
so that's the biggest thing. That's why people say I don't want to sell to my family or my people, my
Mhm.
friends.
Mhm.
I'm like,
And is it that we don't want to sell to them, or is it that we don't want them to see us as a salesy person?
yeah, we don't want our close circle to feel like we've sold them.
Right.
And so I'm going to do the same tactic that, that I do with everyone else with, let's say, my uncle. I'm going to reach out to my uncle and say, "Hey, uncle, you know who I am. So, there's trust already. You
Right.
know, like and trust the person."
Right.
We all are trying to sell to people with the mantra of know, like, and trust. So you're going to spend all this time building it with complete strangers, know, like, and trust. And then all these people over here that know, like, and trust you, you're just gonna say, forget them.
Yeah.
I don't
And
need
how?
them.
And then going back to that psychology, how does that make them feel? That was one thing that I had to overcome a little bit in the Mary Kay days was that I didn't want people in my family to feel like I was selling them stuff all the time. And so there were times that I just didn't offer certain things to them. And then I had this realization, this mind shift that was like, oh my God, I am excluding them. And who wants to feel excluded? Like, at
Yeah,
least if I offer it to them, they have a chance to say, no, thank you. But if I
right,
exclude them, then I'm messing with their mind essentially and making them think that they're not worthy of my time or they're not. it- I can't control how you respond to that, but I can control whether or not I give you an opportunity. Right.
right. And then also, like in my case, I'm selling them insurance that can affect them losing thousands of dollars
And
because
why
they
wouldn't you
go,
want to take care of your family and
yeah. And
that?
so
Yeah.
when I'm visiting with friends and I ask them, well, why did you what made you pick this? Like, this seems like it's the wrong plan for you.
Mm.
They're like, oh, well, because so and so mentioned they liked it, or I don't know, I was just doing it by myself. And I'm like, oh, why didn't you reach out? And they're like, oh, I didn't know you were doing this. I've been talking about it on Facebook for 2 years. Well, I'm not always on Facebook. And
Right.
so they don't see it. And they're like, I wish I saw this earlier.
Yeah.
And so it's just shocking to me how much some people I asked them, I said, So do you not like your product? Do you not trust your product? Is that why you don't want to sell to your friends and family? They're like, oh, well, no, I don't. Okay, so how about tell me who your 3 best friends are? And they're like, would they talk well about you to other people? Yes. Okay, so use them as salespeople. Say, hey guys, I got this new facial cream that you apply once a day and it lasts for 12 hours and it's all organic and it's new from Mary Kay. Not saying that exists. I'm just
Sure.
making something up. And if any of your friends are interested, let me know. And then of course, your 3 best friends will tell you, well, wait, do you have any samples that I can try? Or do you have any well, how much are these? Oh, they're like Tim, well, they come in different varieties, but
Right.
blah, blah, blah. If you just communicate to everyone like you're not selling them, you want their circle, it'll happen.
Yeah.
It's all the blocks that we're putting up that I don't want to sell my friends and family because I don't want them to sell me. And that's usually what's happened
Right.
is someone tried to sell them and they don't like it. And then to feel free to ask questions. I know one gentleman who works with an MLM, and he was putting on a show, and I think one of the items was a fryer.
Okay.
And at the end of his meeting that he had, several people came up, and one lady came up and said, "Yeah, well, my fryer's broken, and so I would like to get a new one." And he said, "Cool, what broke on it?" So he didn't want to make sure it wasn't similar issue. And she told him, and he said, "Oh, yeah, that part is replaceable and only costs 20 something dollars. I can give you the information to go fix that for you." And he's like, just and I forget what he did next, but there was multiple people trying to talk to him. So he was then talking. Never heard back from that woman again. And he was curious what he thinks he did wrong. Now, this is a guy who's been selling for years. Again, how many years you've been doing it does not matter.
Right.
Whether you're new or you've been doing it for a while. It's what's the process? And I said, what makes you think what makes you think the $20 part
Was the problem?
was the pain point?
Yeah.
Maybe the pain point was she wanted a new one, but her husband wasn't going to let her buy one because the unless it broke. And because it's broken, she can now get the new version, which is
Maybe
what she
she
wanted.
broke it.
I know, right? But it's
Yeah.
always looking at what's the pain point. We
Right.
don't look at what the pain point is. We just think we know it, or we just
Yeah.
tell everyone the same pain point, which is not
Yeah.
the issue.
No, that's
And
good.
then he said, well, what would you have done differently? I would have said, one, she wanted the sale. So I would have taken the sale. I would have said, cool, put down your information right here. I'll get you one. Is this the one you like? Okay, I'll call you back. And then because I know her issue, I'm like, you know what? Can you talk tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.? She says yes, and whatever. I say, cool. I'll call you then, and we'll finalize all this. But it's pretty much done. I just need to talk to you for a few minutes, like 5 minutes or less. She's like, okay, cool. Write down there, and then write down what's wrong with her current one. Then the next day, I'm like, hey, I was going to put in this order, but I just wanted to make sure about something. If you can fix the old one for like $20, is that anything you care to do? Or would you just like a whole new one? Because I think I have a solution that will fix that. But I'm just interested. I don't even tell her that I just tell her there's a solution
If it could. Yeah.
if I could. But I'm not even telling her this is the part, it's $20. I'm not going into that. Again, specific but vague.
Right.
I have a solution that could probably fix your old one. So I'm being specific. So I didn't want to put in this order yet for the $200 fryer.
Right.
But I'm going to be vague on not giving her all the details because I don't want to overwhelm her.
Right.
Let her make her decision. As soon as she's like, yeah, well, I want to get the new one, but yes, tell me that one. And then for that, is it $20 you think? Yes, it's $20 to fix it. Give me the information for that, and I'll hand it down to my daughter or my neighbor, or I'll resell it or whatever. But if you're just assuming things, even when someone wants the sale, doesn't mean that's what they need. So take it and then follow up with them later. That's why I'm constantly saying, be specific yet be vague.
I love that.
And then put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
He had no idea that she was going to be excited about saving $180. Most of the people would be.
Potentially.
But you don't know. He didn't have a chance to ask her questions and find out about her.
And when we so many times make assumptions, we dismiss the value that somebody's bringing to the table, but we don't think that we're doing that. We think we're trying to be helpful,
Right?
But we're all thinking it through our own lens and through our own conditioning and our own upbringing and all of those filtration processes.
I would take the $20 part.
Yeah, well,
I might.
Yeah, maybe it depends on maybe the time of the month or right. Like you just don't know. But I think that's such a valuable nugget right there is that, so many times when we are showing up, we assume what people want to hear. Now, there are certain things that you understand your market, you understand your business model, you understand what you do, and you know that there are certain trigger things like the trigger words that you talked about, the catastrophes, medical catastrophes, avoiding bankruptcy, things like that. In our chimney business, we want to help people have peace of mind. That way they can sleep without worrying about their house burning down, right? I mean, those are certain things that we talk about. But the rest of it is variable based on that human and their life experiences and where they're at today. And if we put all of our experience on them, we're saying that you really don't matter. And we don't mean to say that,
right?
But that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
I remember, I teach public speaking and I teach to people. Listen, when you're going to speak to a group of people in the room, you have to remember that there are 3 different learning types, right? We have our visual, we have our audio, and we have our kinetic, our feelers. And if I go into the room with just my type in consideration, which is audible, I could just listen to you all day, right? And get it and grasp it and process it and go out and change the world, right? If I just focus from that place, and I don't reach my people with emotions and I don't reach my people that need to see it because I'm only talking, then I tell 66.3% of the people in the room, you don't matter.
Right.
Right? And how many times do we do that in life unintentionally? We're just not aware that we're doing it.
And so this isn't in the book, but this is one of the best ways on how to avoid that.
Yeah.
Is try to ask 3 questions.
Okay.
To whoever you're talking to kind of find out what angle you're supposed to come at this. If you ask 3 questions, and I can't tell you what those questions are because it's completely different for every single
situation
that comes up. But like the situation I mentioned earlier about the guy who needed life insurance, my 3 questions, which I did ask him, I said, "What makes you think you need life insurance?" He said, "Well, I got a call for my current life insurance and they said it was expiring. And so I need to get it looked at." And they want to do it. Well, now in my industry, I know that sometimes that's a sales tactic, but I said, "Well, when is it expiring?" And he says, "I'm not sure. I just assumed it's soon because they called me." Right. Again, in my head, I'm going, well, no, it could be 2 years, 1 year, 3 months.
It could have been a 30-year term.
Yeah. If it's a 30-year term, they're going to call you after like 10 years.
Yeah.
So, but again, even if I didn't know all that, first question, why? Second question, do you, that it's expiring? Do you know when it's expiring? Third question is, do you have the paperwork? Right. He said, yes. To which I said, well, cool. How about this? I got some questions to talk to you about your occupation. But do me a favor. Before we even spend time and energy on this, send me a copy. Here's my card. Here's my email. Send me a copy of that policy, at least just page 1. I don't need the whole thing, just page 1 that has the details, not the cover page, page 1, the page 1 of the real stuff, the real page. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I'll break it down on what you've got, when everything, and we'll even see if there's anything you need.
Yeah.
And then I moved on. Well, guess what? He sent me the thing and it's not expiring for 10 years. So I said, yeah, man, you're good. If anything, you do not need to change this policy because you got it over 10 years ago already.
Sure, you got it at a premium.
So you got a great price. If anything, you need to get, if you think this is not enough coverage, well, then we should add another policy. but there's no rule that says you can only have one, which he didn't know that either. He's like, oh, I can have more than one. Like, yeah. So
Yeah.
we can set up a call on that. But I asked him 3 questions. It's generally 3 questions.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you ask someone 3 questions, you won't mess up the sale or the potential to sit down with them.
Sure.
And same with your family.
Right.
Well, what makes you need this cream? Or what do you think you're interested in? Or why are you reaching out now? I've been with Mary Kay for 5 years.
Yeah.
Why now? What ask 2 or 3 questions and then um,
Yeah.
follow up. But
I love that approach. And I think, by the time you get past the second question, they're kind of deciding on their own, right? I mean, you think about it, with any of those questions, the first one's just kind of basic. They talk about the power of the 5 whys, and this is a totally different topic, but I love this because, why do I do what I'm doing? Well, because I think it's the right thing to do. Well, why do you think it's the right thing to do? Well, because XYZ. Well, why
mhm,
is that important to you?
right.
Right. And so by the time you get past a couple of questions, now you're beyond all the surface level garbage. We've gotten past all of the distractions. We've gotten kind of down to the root of the issue. And that's where most people make decisions from, is from the
Right.
root, right?
Well, you're making them you're doing good by making them come up with the answer.
Yeah.
So, like in this, going back to this gentleman, I could sit there and say, let's say his was expiring in 90 days.
Right.
Well, then when we sit down and talk, when I'm showing him the plan, I'm like, so in 90 days, when you have nothing, and if you were to pass away on a 100th day, do you think your wife would love this to be
Yeah.
paid out by this policy? Would this serve your goal? Would this help pay for your funeral
Mm.
in 100 days?
Mhm.
And I would keep going back to the fact that I know his policy is expiring in 90 days.
Yeah.
And he said he needed the policy. He gave me his why because it expires in 90 days.
Yeah.
Now, during the sales process, that's going to disappear unless I keep bringing it back up.
Sure. Sure. Why is it important to you that when you're gone, like, why does
Yeah.
it matter? Oh, for your family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they're like, well, yeah, but in over the course of many years, I will have put in this much money and I was like, yeah, well, we can look into that. But again, what happens when you pass away on 100th day from now?
Right. Yeah.
What's your solution?
Yeah.
And uh it's constantly trying to just ask questions without, of course, you don't want to come across as like a 6-year-old and go, why this? Why this? Why
Yeah.
that? But if you ask about 3, you're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. We don't ask enough questions. We go right into sales mode with
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And this includes with our spouses. You
Mhm.
know, when what are we gonna eat tonight, babe? She's like, I don't know. What do you want? And we're just going back and forth
Mm.
on, well, or I just bring home food. I've done that because I didn't ask any questions.
Sure.
I brought home food.
And it was the wrong food.
No, it was great. But well, no, actually sometimes I've brought the wrong food home. Yeah, you're right about that. But guess what? What is she doing?
Is she cooking dinner?
She's cooking dinner.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But she didn't communicate to me she was cooking dinner, and I thought I was coming home early
Being
enough
the
that
hero.
I was being a hero and say, "Babe, you don't have to cook." But it's because we didn't communicate. We didn't
Oh.
opt for we didn't ask questions,
Mhm.
and I tried to sell. I
Yeah.
tried to sell. I brought the food home. Look, babe, you're gonna be happy. I brought you food. I made decisions. You know, you're gonna be so ecstatic. You're gonna want to go put lingerie on or something. You know, I'm
All the
selling
things.
all this, and she's like pissed that what, you're not gonna eat my food
I'm
now?
wasting this ground beef.
I
And
was
it
like,
was, yeah.
I was like, I fixed this. The kids are gonna want to eat the fried chicken that you brought, so no one's gonna eat what I fixed. Of course, then I'm like, well, yeah, but this is great leftovers tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I already messed up because I sold without
Yeah.
communicating to who I was selling to, which was I was not bringing it home for me. I was bringing it home for the wife and the kids.
And did, and yeah. That's
And we
such a
do that
great
all
life
day
lesson. Yeah.
long. And if you take all the sales tactics one learns and how to use that in the marketing side of your business, you will excel. It goes to your website,
Mhm.
it's your social media, it's how you're talking to people.
Right.
It's that whole line. Like if let's say January and February, every time someone said, "Hi, Dagan, how you doing?" That's really just a short greeting
Sure.
of, it's not really meant for me to go into a diatribe of what I'm doing, but that's an opening.
Right.
And, or someone says, oh, hey, nice to meet you, Dagan. What do you, for showing up here or something like that. But if anyone's asked me some kind of question for those first 2 months, I'd say, oh man, I'm doing great. I'm getting some good rest because, I signed up over 100 people during open enrollment for health insurance. So I planted a seed. You
Right.
asked me a question, I plant the seed.
Right.
Most of us will all say, oh, I'm doing well. How are you?
Right.
And then you'll say, oh, I'm doing great.
Thanks for
And then
asking.
there's that awkward pause where, okay, what
It's
do we do
pretty
now?
outside today.
And
Yeah.
then they normally repeat it. So anything new? Well, you just asked me that, but in a different way. So
Yeah.
when you're doing that, you're causing things. By me saying that, they're like, "Oh wow, you signed up over 100 people." Yeah, it was crazy. It was a long winter, and blah blah blah. And now I'm going in and talking about me, and then that person is able to communicate better to me too because I gave them something to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. And for people that, are maybe introverts, and they are very super uncomfortable, right? Going into spaces. My husband gets really uncomfortable when he goes into new places because he's like, I don't know what to talk to people about.
Yeah,
You know, that is a great opportunity for us to love our introvert friends and give them something to grab onto,
right.
right? Yeah. Back to, am I speaking to just my type or am I speaking to all types in
Yeah.
the room? Right.
And it doesn't have to be occupation. Like right now,
Yeah.
I'm building my patio myself. It's 30 by 10 feet long. So 300 square feet. That's a pretty
Wow.
damn big patio. And it's with the
Yeah.
cobblestone pavers. So they're like this small. So that's a lot of pay. It's not big tiles that make a nice, perfect rectangle.
So next time I see you, you're going to say, I'm getting some rest because I laid
Yeah. No,
600 tiles. Yeah.
No, it's over.
Probably 900.
It's more closer to over 1,000.
Oh my gosh.
I've laid down. But when anyone asks me what I'm doing, like right now, when they're like, "Hey, Dagan, how you doing?" Oh, I'm kind of tired, man. I've been building my own patio.
Yeah.
And of course, as soon as you say that to someone, there's an array of questions.
Sure.
Wait, you're building your own? How do you know how to build a patio?
Right.
And they're thinking probably a deck patio,
Sure.
like with wood and all that.
Yeah.
And not just a flat rock patio. And they're like, "Wait, how are you doing all that?" Or like, "What? You're building your own? Why aren't you paying someone to do that?"
Right.
What? There's an array of questions, and now the dialogue's going. And guess what? Now they've learned something about me.
And
They're like,
depending on their
this guy is like
questions.
building a 300 square foot patio.
Yeah.
He must know a thing or two.
Sure. And
Especially if
depending
I'm
on
talking to home service contractors, by the way, which
yeah.
remember are great advisors. Every time I see a home service contractor in the next 3 months, and they say, "Hey, what's going on?" or anything new or that, I'm gonna say, "You wouldn't believe this. I just built my patio for 300 square feet on my own. I would have rather hired someone else, but the electricians, the plumbers, the roofers, the landscapers, they're all going to appreciate that, and we're all going to talk about that."
Yeah. They understand that that you understand their work. And I think when you plant those seeds and it causes people to ask you questions, one thing that it will bring to your awareness is what is top of mind for them, right? So top of mind for them might be, I value hiring somebody else, or I value saving money, or I value XYZ, depending on the questions that they ask, because the questions a lot of times reveal what's in us.
Yeah.
So tons of nuggets. I love that.
Yeah. And like we just had the national championship in basketball the other day. So it could be something like that. Like, yeah, how are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm doing well. I'm a little tired because I was watching the national championship on Monday night basketball. And you'll find out right away, oh, yeah, I don't really like basketball, or
Yeah.
oh, I love basketball. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Or
only
they'll be like,
watching.
wait, were you playing? Like, why were you tired? No, because I
Yeah.
was jumping up and down. Like,
Yeah.
my team was winning, right?
Yeah. Or we went and visited some friends and we're at a house party. What were you doing Monday night? I'm like, oh, I was tucking the kids in bed. And I'm like, oh, how old are your kids? And then you go into that conversation. But anytime you can say something besides the standard replies,
Yeah.
the more you're going to stand out. You're going to be easy to talk to.
Yeah.
And introverts can do it all day. You just need to plan. When you get up in the morning, every time someone says something, this is what you do. And by the way, it helps you get clients.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the car washes where people write tickets. Most of them are like, they write a ticket to what you want in your car wash. And then your car goes through and does everything.
Okay. Yeah. I've never seen that.
Okay. Yeah. Besides the self ones, but the ones that are full service,
Okay.
they write your ticket at the beginning. They ask you what kind of car wash you want. You want the fully loaded, the full package. You want this, you want that. They were more popular a few years back. But a guy was there, and he said, "Hey man, how you doing?" And I said, "I'm doing great. I just closed up with some insurance." He's like, "Oh, you do insurance?" I go, "Yeah, all insurance on humans." He's like, "Oh, that's cool." He's like, "What am I getting you today?" And as soon as he's giving me my ticket, he's like, "Hey man, can you give me your card? Because I need some insurance."
Mm.
And I was like, "Yeah, sure, man." And I gave him my card, and I told him, I was like, "Yeah, man, by the way, I can even come to you here and we can meet in the break room or out on the picnic table or somewhere,
Right.
but I can help you here or I can help you over Zoom with you and your spouse." He's like, "Cool." I was like, "Yeah, I'll give you a call." He called me and I closed a deal.
Wow.
I wasn't there to sell him.
No.
We didn't have a
But you were
discussion
ready.
about it. I was ready
Yeah.
because I woke up that morning with, what am I going to say today while I was brushing my teeth?
Yeah.
And then when I was anytime someone asked me an open-ended question, I knew what my canned response was going to be,
Mm.
and I got a sale. And I've done that numerous times. It's happened in the grocery store, and and you don't have to be an extrovert to be able to do that.
You just have to be ready.
You just have to be ready, and introverts love being ready.
Yeah. That's right. No, you're right. You're right. They don't love being caught off guard.
Right.
So have a couple of solutions and
And
answers.
nowadays, I got my cell phone with my notes in my cell phone, and I can look up at any time while I'm in my car or sitting around waiting for a meeting. I can pull up my notes and pull up um, responses, and then there's all the things I've said lately, and
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, ooh, I'm going to say that one
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. Good
And
for you. I feel like we prepare for so many things. A lot of times we prepare for getting the work done. We prepare for the document that's going to go out, but we don't prepare for how we're going to show up. And
yeah,
again, the business that we're all in, regardless of what we do, is people business. So we've
hmm
got to be prepared to meet people, to see people, and to help them feel valued. And that's what you do when you're prepared for them, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and you have to do it, and even on when you're talking to people, I like every time we do a meeting,
Mhm.
again, with everything I do, it's about the person, not about me. And so when the person's like, "Hey, where do you want to meet, Dagan?" I'm like, "Well, what part of town are you in?" "Okay, well, pick a place." They're
Yeah.
like, "Well, what do you like?" I go, "Anywhere. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's good weather, so outdoors would be nice, but I don't care. Just pick a place, and don't pick something generic like Starbucks or something. Pick something that's cool or local or something new."
Yeah.
And people love that. And then when I go sit down and have a meeting with them, they're always going to remember that meeting because it was in something different. It wasn't
Sure.
just over. Now I do a lot of meetings on Zoom, so I got nothing against doing that. But Zoom's got its abilities.
Mhm.
But when you can meet with someone and you're not always going to that same place that you like to choose,
Mhm.
you're going to someone where someone else likes to go, and then the next person I ask, and guess what? I start learning about all these other places
Yeah.
in the city or in wherever I'm at,
Yeah.
and I'm then name dropping. I'm like, "Hey, have you been to this barbecue joint?" I was like, "Yeah, I was just there last week." And you're getting to know all these different things, and you're going to be much more memorable to that person
Right.
because, like you said earlier, the cues our body's picking up from being, let's say, at that barbecue joint. We're not even eating barbecue, probably. We're just meeting out on one of the
Oh,
picnic
if we meet
tables.
at a barbecue
Well,
place,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
chowing on some
I
ribs.
mean,
I'm just saying.
I'm getting some brisket moist. But we're your your brain loves the sounds,
The
the hearing, the
smells.
smells.
Yeah.
It's using all of its senses. So that's
Right.
going to remember that. If I keep meeting people at Starbucks every week,
Oh, you'll have
then
that burnt
well,
coffee smell
well,
in your
that too. Yeah, I
brain
don't. Yeah,
and on your clothes and in your hair.
yeah. So anytime someone says Starbucks, I'm like, what about a different coffee house?
Yeah.
Is there any other ones? And I got nothing against Starbucks.
Yeah. Sure.
But and I don't even drink coffee. So I'm like, sure, we'll meet at a coffee house, but
Yeah.
any place that also serves smoothies
Sure.
and coffee, because I'll have a smoothie or some drink, something other than coffee.
Yeah.
Um, but and
Mm.
again, if they're like, Dagan, I'll buy you a cup of coffee. What do you want? I'm like, oh, well, I yes, I drink. I don't dislike coffee. I just don't need to drink it.
Sure.
So yeah, okay, if you're treating, sure, I'll drink a coffee.
Yeah.
But it's always, what can you do for them? I love that it's the George Costanza thing. It's not you, it's me. You know, from that show.
Yeah.
To me, it's like that, but the opposite. It's all about you. It's not me.
Right.
And if you focus on that, things will happen.
Yeah. Because yes, that's the way we were designed to serve. It's just we live in such a time that everybody has the mirror in front of us, right? Even our cell phones are designed in selfie mode, right?
Yeah.
You get the best view in selfie mode, and we want to actually support others. So I love that. Well, today has been an awesome conversation.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I know people are going to be like, okay, this insurance guy sounds amazing. I want to know how to stay connected. So would you please tell him obviously tell him how to get your books. We only have one book out here, but I know you have two.
No, it's just one.
Oh, it's just one. I'm sorry. I thought the other one, I thought your insurance was a book as well.
No,
maybe that I'm speaking prophetically.
Yes, I've been told to write a book on all the tricks of the insurance trade.
Oh, you know what? In our last few seconds together, when I brought up the book at the beginning, you said, people told me for years I should do it. And I thought, that's just going to take forever. But you did it anyway.
Yeah.
And now you have this really cool book. So tell us just a little bit about what propelled you to just finally just say yes and get it on there.
So perfect transition. It almost sounds like this was planned.
Oh.
It is basically, it wasn't about me. Yeah. It was about them. Numerous people, when I would sit down with them, kept telling me, Dagan, all this information you gave me, this was more I've learned in an hour than I've been networking for 2 years. I'm like, why didn't I meet you a year ago? You should have a book about this. Yeah. And after being told, I'd say at least 20 times over like a 6-month period, it felt like that I needed to write a book. I said, okay, you have to listen when people are asking you to do something. Yeah. Go do it. So I said, fine, I'll do it. I didn't do it for me. I did it because my clients and potential clients and referral partners are asking me to do this. So yes, it takes time. It takes energy. It can take money. But if people are telling you should do something, that's a good sign. You should maybe think about it. Right. And so that's why I did it.
I love it.
And then, of course, I could get the word out to way more people.
Yeah.
So that was great.
Yeah. I love it. Well, and at some point, you know, I would jokingly shared this with a friend the other day. We were talking about our upcoming business conference, and I said that there's 3 stages in life. There is the burp me, feed me stage. Like, I need you to take care of me. And then there is the I can burp and feed myself stage. I can sustain. But then there is now I can burp and feed you. Right. And that is really where you're at with this book, with the legacy, with the opportunity to just serve other people and be okay with serving other people. You're at a whole nother level. And this is the level where you make a huge impact in the world around you. So back to that 6 degrees, Kevin Bacon, 2 degrees, Dagan. Yes, 2 degrees, and you'll know everybody in the world because of the work that you're doing. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for letting me come. It's been fun. And one of the things about this is everyone that worked on this book with me were all people I used in networking. I saved so much money on using the people in my resource pool. Yeah. There was not one person that helped me that I did not already know from networking.
Wow. That's the power of getting in the room and getting to know people and serving people. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, for people to know, like, and trust, one of the 2 best ways is to either become an author or a doctor. Now, those are 2 great things to put in front of your name that help.
Sure.
So yes, there is some of it for me that ends up helping. Yeah. But it does help me sell more. Absolutely. and take care of more people. But the motivator was everyone telling me to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, friends. Well, you have a choice. You can either go to school and become a doctor, or you can write that book you've been waiting on.
Much easier for the, as the son of a doctor, I can tell you the author part was way easier.
Yeah. How fun. Well, thank you for your time today. And thank you for driving all the way to Taylor, Texas.
Yeah.
And spending your time with me. So yeah, I know our listeners and those that are coming to our Unite and Ignite business conference are going to love these tips, because now they're even going to be more equipped as they walk in the doors to make real connections and to serve people at a higher place. So Dagan, thank you for your time. Oh, yes.
One quick point, because you asked me, The book is on Amazon
Oh, thank
and
you.
it's on all the other online platforms. So if you're anti-Amazon, I get it. You can also go to Barnes and Nobles and other online bookstores. But the key thing is how to contact you. That's another thing I mentioned.
Yes.
It's not great to reach out to people on Facebook when you don't even know them.
Ah,
So LinkedIn is, of course, the number one business platform.
yes.
So if you don't have my email, reach out on LinkedIn. That's the best way for people to be connecting with each other. Once y'all make some connection, then go to Facebook.
Okay.
But or if you're going to go to their Facebook, at least send a message and saying, "Hey, Dagan, uh, I saw you on this podcast and I want to connect with you." But just saying your name is, Bob Smith
Yeah.
on my Facebook, I'm like, I don't know who this is. Why you
Right.
reached out?
Right.
So I always
Yeah.
say LinkedIn or through the book. And the book has a website. So if you go there, you can reach out to me there too.
Awesome. Awesome. We could do a whole new podcast on LinkedIn.
Yeah, people aren't using it enough. It's great for businesses. It's just most people don't know how to use it.
Right.
Yeah,
Book number 2.
I know, right?
Well, friends, thank you for joining us today. We hope that these nuggets, these pearls of wisdom, will help you again reach people at a new place and bring them to a place where they know, love, and trust you. So, God bless you, friends. Thank you for watching today. We will.